Millions of lives have been saved by checklists. Yes, checklist. It's not hyperbolic. It's not clickbait. Medical professionals have just started to use, over the last 10, 20 years, checklist, and it has been a huge improvement, so much that most hospitals now use checklist to save life, to improve efficiency and be more productive. I do the same in business, using checklists to improve my flow and everyone in my company's flow. So let's get started. How can you use those? First, let's check out, why do checklists actually work? Checklists sounds dull, and frankly they are a little bit dull, but they actually work. They are revolutionary because they help you jog the memory at the right point. So a checklist helps you make sure that you do something in the right sequence, or that you remember the right things. When you can remember the right things, then you can focus on the essential. So it's not about replacing a person, but it's about augmenting that workflow that you're doing. So how can you make great checklists? Well, here's 3 tips on how to do that. Tip number 1, you'll be tempted to make checklist that works in all cases. Don't. Keep it very simple. Make a checklist just for that particular purpose. You don't want to just overboard and fill in a lot of things. Just make one checklist for that purpose. And not only that, make sure that you try to remove as much as possible. Usually in a checklist, less is more. So the more you can remove while still having a good workflow, the better. Tip number 2, you should consider breaking down your checklist into multiple pieces. So let's say you have a task like making a blog article. Well, that might have a lot of different kind of things. First, you make a disposition. Afterwards, you do some writing. You making a thumbnail. You distribute it, etc. Now, when we do that in our company, we have multiple different checklists. So we don't try to cram everything into one. We just have multiple different checklists, and some of them, frankly, don't require a checklist. For example, we have a create a logo. We just have a create a logo. We don't have a subset of that. So sometimes that's not needed. Just try to play around with it and figure out how you can work with it. And this leads into tip number 3, and that is to kill your own ego. So when you're making checklists, you will usually be completely wrong. People will use them wrong, you will use them wrong, and they will be slow or bulky. So you have to kill your ego and acknowledge that they will not be perfect. And you have to iterate, learn and learn and learn. And this is how you do it. We have in our company iterated over some of the checklists like literally 50 times, and just every time they get better and better. And we still have a lot of ones that are not good enough and we still need to improve on them, but they still help us improve our workflow. So that is tip number 3. Now, where can you find more about checklist? I found originally in a book called The Checklist Manifesto, like a long time ago, and that I started. Then I started applying it in my own life and my own business, and it worked really well. But nowadays, I think just doing a search or even going ChatGPT, just asking, "Hey, what is a good checklist?" You could probably find a lot of good resources this way. And the most important checklist have 4 pieces. Number 1, do awesome stuff. Number 2, eat meat. Number 3, have fun. And number 4, remember to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.